Yo, and welcome to Mix Wizard Sessions episode 2. So in today's episode, I'm going to unpack and we're going to look at how I go about building a mix. So working on the same files as episode 1, I'm going to look at how I go putting the drum sound together, adding all the band elements, and what I've got going on. One thing, I am also going to include, and hopefully if I get my technology sorted, in the link below, is a link to give you access. You can download these same multi-track files and you can download my SQ session and you can have a look at what I've got going on, and hopefully this will also help you to get a better understanding, but also give you something to play with. So one thing I will say quickly, SQ, before you go and load my file, make sure you've saved your session and make sure you've saved your SQ files. Okay? So save them onto a USB and then go about loading my stuff, because you don't want to go and load my stuff and lose all of your files. That would not be a good thing. Okay? And if you don't know, ask someone who can give you a hand, jump on one of the forums. So yeah, so you'll be able to download the files and have a look and fix all of my mistakes. What I've got going on, the other thing I wanted to quickly explain, because I've had a bunch of people asking and emails and things. So what I'm trying to do here and hopefully empower you, teach you guys, is how to use these tools to get, big sounding mixes on your live stream without other resources. So there's information, there's a lot of stuff, a lot of guys have access to and use waves, and they've got limiters or they've got TC finalizer boxes or some kind of broadcast limiting device in their church infrastructure or in their setup or whatever they're doing. What hopefully I'm teaching you here is tools and tricks to do it within the console you have, without going out and having to buy any other gear or anything like that. So what I am doing, I'm pushing the SQ to some of its limits. You'll see the mix today, I'm with an inch of the headroom on the top of the console, but that's giving us the maximum amount of headroom we can get out to our live stream. Okay? So hopefully that all makes sense. So I'm going to jump into it, and what we're going to do, I'm going to basically play a bit of the band and show you through my EQ, my compressors, my steps of what I've got going on to put this mix together. One other quick one, headphones. So if you're not listening on headphones, grab a pair of headphones and listen, or if you want a pair of speakers, even better if you've got a little studio set up. It's great to have a pair of headphones that you know and trust. M50Xs is what I use. I love the bottom end in them, and the detail, they're great headphones. If you don't have a pair of headphones, it is a great tool to have a pair of headphones that you know and trust. Okay, then you can be in any room and any situation, pop your headphones on and you'll know how the mix is all sitting together. Cool? So let's get into it. Okay, so I'm going to hit go on the multi-track. We're going to play back a bit of the stuff, and we're going to take a look through what I've got going on. So first off, let's just play a bit of the band and see what the band sounds like. Cool, so the band is all there. So no vocals at the minute, okay? So let's get rid of the band. Okay. And let's just take a look down just at the drums. Cool? So down to its simplest thing. So kick in microphone. So kick in, I'm going to go through these pretty quickly. There's a gate going on, nothing special, okay? Some EQ, okay, and a compressor. So I am in this video. So in these videos, this video, I wasn't using them yesterday. Today, I am actually using the deep plug-in pack. on SQ, so I am using some of the multibands and I am using some of the compressor flavors, okay? This is actually one of my favorites, okay? And I reckon we need to get Mr. Rob Clark involved. Maybe he needs to do a little special guest appearance or maybe a little Q&A. I love this compressor. I love what it's doing on its attack and release settings, okay? I'm also using the burn button on this. So yeah, this is a great compressor, okay? I'll just take it out. So I like the way it bites on the sound. So I reckon that's our first question for Rob Clark is what's the burn knob doing, what the burn button does, and then the attack release settings, what are they doing? Because I love the way it does this to a sound. So, okay, we're going to get Rob Clark involved. Kick out. Okay, kick out. Again, I've got a bit of a gate going. I've got a lot more EQ going on. Okay, and again, I'm using this same compressor and it's just every beat. I'm not using the burn knob on this. Why? Because it sounded good. So, snare top. Okay, one thing I am doing straight away on the snares, I've got the tube stage. Okay, everyone has access to the tube stage. I really like what it does. Triode setting, you know, and just a little bit of it. Okay, again, I'm using a gate on the snare, okay? Now, I don't normally use a gate. I like to try and keep the drum kit as open sounding as I can, but I'll show you exactly why I'm using a gate. There was a lot of snare bleed. Cool, I'm sure you can hear that snare bleed. I had to get rid of it, I had no choice. Okay, compression, I'm just using the standard SQ compressor here, just in RMS mode. Snare bottom, what have I got going on? Okay, again, gate. Okay. A little bit of EQ. And I'm running the 1176 in nuke mode. Okay, slow attack, slow release. Okay, I quite like this compressor. And what I find, this compressor on that nuke setting, it helps to extend, it makes the snare very consistent, but it also helps to extend the note value is what I call it of the snare. Makes it a little bit longer. Hi-hat, nothing extravagant. High pass, okay. Hopefully you noticed on both snare drums I had the high pass. Now, he's probably not going to play the toms at the minute, but that's my Tom 1 EQ, Tom 2 EQ, again, bit of high pass going on, okay. Overheads. You'll hear the overheads already have their own great picture. I'll stop talking for a second, we'll listen. Cool, so the overheads that have their own great picture. Now I'm going to stop and very quickly talk to you about one thing. Overhead placement. So drum overheads, and I always talk about this, and if you've been to one of my sessions before, I measure the drum overheads from the snare drum. Okay, so if I've got a snare drum, I measure them to make them the exact same distance. Okay, and we're going to flip the phase in a second and have a listen. It's the best thing to help keeping your snare drum sound fat. If you're wondering why your snare drum is thin, it could be because your overheads are actually the phase response because they're not set up correctly. That could be making your snare drum thin. Okay, so let's have a look at this. I'm just going to open the snare drum and the overheads. I'm going to go to here and I'm going to go to my polarity settings. So I've got them out of phase, which is what I normally find. Okay. Yeah. So to me, I can hear that whispering and, you know, it doesn't have the same body. So down at like 200 or something, that's got much better body when the phase is flipped. Cool? So let's put the drum kit together. Now the other thing I've got going on is this squash channel. Okay, and we can look at that on its own actually. Okay, the squash channel. This is the kicks and the snares going to a group. So the moment the drums go to the band group that I have set up. The kicks and snares are going to another group called squash, and I'm pounding it through the compressor. And again, it's like that mastering thing. It's helping me shrink the dynamic range of the kicks and snares so I can bring them really forward in the mix. Okay, again, this is a technique that's been around for a long time called parallel compression. This is paralleling the kicks and snares just to get them really forward in the mix. Let's have a look what it's doing. So this is the compressor, and you can see medium, fast. Sometimes I make it slow. It's very rare I will go fast. Okay, on the attack side of things. It's on the transient mode, it's on burn, all of those things that I love. And you can just see it's just pounding it all the time. So that's the drums by themselves, and then I'm going to put in and out this squash. So when I put the squash in and out, I'm not changing the overall level of the drums. I'm just, the kicks and snares are getting pushed right into your face of the mix. When I play it back with the whole band, you'll hear it really clearly that the kicks and the snares, when I get rid of that squash, they get lost. Cool? So let's have a look at what else I've got going on. Bass guitar. And I like to put a mix together, okay? So basically, once I've got the drums together, I don't just work on one thing. So, bass guitar. So one thing I am doing, I am adding a little bit of distortion to him. So I will get rid of the drums, okay? So it's just making him a little bit furry, which also helps give him his own clarity in the mix, okay? So it's just a little bit of overdrive on the plug-in there, okay? Nothing crazy with his EQ, okay? And his compression. So that's the bass player's compression. Cool? He's sort of in compression all the time. So what we got going on with the guitars? Let's have a listen. I've got one guitarist, but I've got two mics for him. Okay, I'm just literally on the same guitar cabinet. Okay, and what I'm going to do, and I'll show you, I've got a little bit of delay on the second channel, and it makes the guitar sound much wider. So it goes from being the guitar sort of very mono and in front of you. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to show you, we'll play back some stuff, and yeah, I will pull in and out the delay button, and we'll have a listen. So the guitar-wise, a little bit of EQ, and I'm using Mighty, which I quite like for guitars. Same thing on both guitar channels, okay? So let's have a look at this delay setting. So this is the guitars, delay out. So it's very mono, delay in. So it takes it really wide into the image. So what else we got going on? I've got an acoustic, okay, a little bit of EQ, keyboard. I'm brightening the keyboard up, bit of compression, and we've got tracks, okay, and the same. I'm brightening the tracks up. Cool. So that's sort of our whole mix back together. So let's have a little quick look at what I'm doing with some multi-bands as well, okay? So when I go, my band bus here, okay, I've got again my favorite plugin from Rob Clark on the band. I've got a little bit of EQing. So this is a band group. All of the band is going through it. I've got my EQ going, the squash channel obviously as we looked at before, okay? It's got a little bit of EQ on it, okay? So if I hit go on the band, we can have a look at this. So my band compressor is tickling all the time. Very slow, very fast burn, 3 to 1. So this is taking the transients off the top of the band, just to keep the band all very consistent. Cool? So the other thing I've got on the band, and I'm going to grab my iPhone to hopefully video this so we can actually have a look, is I've got a dynamic EQ. So I've got one of these. Hopefully I can figure out how to insert this. So the bands, it's just tickling the bands, okay? Cool, so the multi-band compressor there is inserted on the band group and it's just tickling, okay? Again, because I've just got to keep all these, the more I can keep these peaks down, the more I can bring my mix up to our absolute ceiling, okay? Which is what we're trying to do. So let's now have a little look at my vocals, okay, and see what we've got going on. The vocals are going to a subgroup as well, okay? Yeah, so, and I've got a little bit of a trick going on there which I want to show you. So let's put the band back in and put our vocals in. So, lead vocal, okay, not much EQ, compression wise, 160, and that's what I want to come back and capture in a second. I'll capture that on the next cycle. So, second vocal, pretty similar, okay. The vocal subgroup, I'm brightening things up. So that's my EQ on the vocal subgroup, okay. A little bit of compression, but this insert is what I want to show you. So I'm actually going to jump to it. Okay, and I'm going to grab my phone and hopefully again shoot this while I talk. Okay, technology. Okay, so what I've got going on, I have one of the multi-band compressors inserted. Okay. Let's see if I can do two things at once. So, and you'll notice I'm taking all of the top end and all of the bottom end away, okay? If I literally solo these vocals and hit go at the top of the song, okay, because I've taken it away, it's pretty clean. If I hit bypass, you should be hearing all of that. No, because I've got it soloed. Let me get rid of the band. There we go. If I know how to drive things correctly. So, bypassing, you can hear it's quite substantial. But I'm going to put it in because what you'll notice, so it's sucking all of that stuff out. But when they sing, cool. So what's going on there is I'm using the top and low filters in reverse mode, so they're sucking everything out. So I'm getting rid of all the bleed of all of the drums and everything. Hopefully you could hear that. I don't think I explained that very well, to be honest. But basically I'm sucking all of the top end out because when their mics are open, I'm just getting all of this bleed from the band when they're not singing. As soon as they go to sing, those filters pop up to 0 and it makes a massive difference in cleaning up your mix, okay? So yeah, it's a great trick. Okay, so let's have a little look at the whole mix together with the vocals from the top. And let's have a look at what our master bus is now doing. So master bus, EQ, okay, so I've got a little bit of EQ there. And I've got this full-on parallel path compressor. Then my limiter. So hopefully what you'll notice here, my mix is not moving anywhere. It's like a block of chocolate. Cool? So watch the meters. My dynamic range is very small. Cool, so that's the aim, is getting the mix all pushed up as loud as we can, and then I've just got that last limiter sitting there on my matrix output as the fail safe for, okay, let's not go over it. Cool, I reckon that's enough at the minute. What time have I? Yes, plenty long enough. So, download the files, yeah, have it, you know, load them up, have a play with the SQ. Yeah, hopefully you understand what I'm doing. Ask some questions on the forums and things, and yeah, and I'll definitely do my best to get back to you and explain anything that I've explained poorly the first time. So yeah, so tomorrow another episode, and yeah, feel free again, as I said last time, any feedback, any comments. Hopefully you're finding this useful. And yeah, I'm going to unpack Avantis, and I'm also going to unpack D-Live. I've got some really cool ideas coming up. I am going to do a specialist theatre one. Okay, so I'm going to unpack, I'm going to show you how I do a theatre show, how to use auto mixers, yeah, how to do all the automation side of stuff on D-Live. So I've got a bunch of videos planned. So yeah, enjoy. Hope this has been helpful, and see you tomorrow.